Greetings and welcome to another Pokemon 2019 or Pokemon Journeys the Series anime video. In this video I want to talk about Chloe's Eevee. More specifically, I want to talk about what will happen to Chloe's Eevee in the future. What will be the conclusion of her and Chloe's journey. I actually had the idea to make this video months ago, after episode 105 had aired or during the lead up to this episode. In episode 105, Chloe and Eevee met Serena and her Sylveon. Sylveon was the last Eeveelution that Chloe and Eevee met. So I figured that the next time Chloe and Eevee receive a focus would be when they finally decide Eevee's fate. Now I was not able to make this video back then because I was swarmed with reviews and other videos. But I am glad that things turned out this way, since it just so happens that Chloe and Eevee had one more stop in their journey before they reached the end. And this stop was of course meeting Lana and Sandy, which allowed Chloe to realize that remaining in Eevee is also an option. So now that all the cards are on the table, it is the best time to tackle this video. Do keep in mind that a lot of what I will discuss in this video is speculation on my part, so do take what I say with a grain of salt. But without further ado, let's get to it, shall we? So, what will happen to Chloe's Eevee? Well, it is rather simple really, since there are only two options. Either she will not evolve or she will evolve. Now of course this is putting it in the simplest terms possible, since one of these two outcomes has several possible results, while the other one is not as straightforward as you might think. Therefore I wanted to break down each route. I want to discuss why I think that each outcome might happen, why I think that each outcome might not happen, and I want to go over the intricacies of each scenario and the different ways they might unfold. So first, let's take a look at the simplest of the two outcomes. Is it possible that Eevee will not evolve? Well, yes, it is possible for several reasons. First, in episode 49, which is when Eevee first appeared, it was shown that she simply cannot evolve. Even after coming into contact with both a Firestone and a Thunderstone, Eevee did not evolve. Therefore, it's possible that Eevee just can't evolve. Which means that this outcome is the only possible conclusion, right? Well, not exactly. Pinery, the head of the Eeveelution lab, did say that perhaps it is not that Eevee cannot evolve. It's just that she does not know what she wants to evolve into. Meaning that if she does decide to evolve into one of the Eeveelutions, then she will evolve. So evolution is still possible. But this means that the reverse is also possible. If she decides not to evolve, then she won't. Second, in the games, there are two variations of Eevee that are not capable of evolving. The first is the partner Eevee from Let's Go Eevee. It is worth noting that the partner Eevee can learn a move of the type of each evolution. Chloe's Eevee has used Copycat to use a move of the same type as each evolution, which might be a reference to the partner Eevee. The second variation of Eevee is an Eevee capable of Gigantamaxing, which can be found in Sword and Shield. It's possible that Chloe's Eevee is analogous to one of these two variations of Eevee, which is why she cannot evolve. This adds validity to the previous point. Though again, it's possible that Eevee will evolve once she decides what to evolve into. But these first 2 points do make a stronger case for the Eevee will not evolve outcome. Third, Chloe learned from Lana and Sandy that remaining in Eevee is an option, meaning that not evolving is a choice that Chloe now knows she can make. Not evolving is now a very real possibility, whereas before it wasn't, since Chloe and Eevee were only meeting evolutions because evolving was the only outcome they had in mind. But this is no longer the case, which further adds to the possibility that Eevee will remain as she is. Fourth, Sandy himself shows that an Eevee not evolving is something that can happen, so there is precedence for this outcome. These 4 things make not evolving a real possibility, but there are 2 things that go against the no evolution path. The first has to do with Sandy as well. Like I said earlier, Sandy proves that an Eevee not evolving can happen, but this also means that it is something that already happened. So why would they have a Chloe's Eevee end up the same way? Why would they have two Eevee end up not evolving? Two Eevee belonging to Friends of Ash at that. I just don't see them doing the same thing again, since this would be, on original end, something we have already seen. Ideally, they wanted to tread new ground. Second, not evolving is the least exciting and satisfying outcome. After dozens of episodes together, after spending so much time meeting and interacting with another Eevee and all 8 Eeveelutions, not evolving would be the worst way to end Chloe and Eevee's journey, since it would make their journey less impactful, less meaningful, and less significant, because they went through so much only to end up right where they started. This would just be a huge waste and a terrible, unexciting conclusion to their journey, which is why I think that Eevee will evolve, because it is the outcome that would honor and validate everything Chloe and Eevee went through together. The outcome that would make for the most exciting, thrilling, and amazing conclusion. One that is a worthy coronation to an awesome journey. And one that would make the most sense, because why spend so much time trying to decide what to evolve into, only to then decide not to evolve at all? Do keep in mind though that I am not saying that there can be no meaning or significance to remaining an Eevee. So that's the no evolution outcome. Again, it is very much possible, but there are a couple of things that hold it back from being the one possible outcome. Moving on, we get to the Eevee will evolve outcome. This is the most interesting outcome, both because it is the more exciting outcome and because it is the best target for speculation, since Eevee has 8 evolutions. So, will Eevee evolve? Well, this outcome is very much possible as well. There are 2 things in favor of this outcome, which are the 2 things that are against Eevee not evolving. Eevee evolving would avoid ending with another Eevee that does not evolve, and Eevee evolving would be the most exciting, satisfying, and meaningful way to end Chloe and Eevee's journey. Now, there are more things in favor of this outcome, but we will get to them soon. As for things that are against this outcome, well, there really aren't any. This outcome is for me the best one and the preferred one. Of course, there is more to this outcome than just Eevee evolving. There is also the question of what she will evolve into, since she has 8 evolutions. So, if Eevee evolves, what will she evolve into? Well, it is hard to say, since there really isn't any concrete evidence that points to the answer. But I will still make some educated guesses based on the information we do have. First, I think that Vaporeon, Jolteon, and Flareon are all very possible, since Chloe does have a Water Stone, a Thunder Stone, and a Fire Stone, so she can evolve Eevee into any of the original 3 Eeveelutions whenever she pleases. Second, I think that Espeon and Umbreon are very possible, since Haruhi, or Soleil, who is Chloe's doppelganger, owns both of the Generation 2 Eeveelutions. Therefore, we have already basically seen Chloe with these 2 Eeveelutions, so we know that they do suit her. There is also the fact that Espeon and Umbreon, along with Sylveon, are the most popular Eeveelutions, which makes them an appealing choice for an important character in the anime. These are the only ones that I think are possible, or rather, the ones that I think are more possible, since honestly, all of them are possible. The 5 I mentioned are simply the ones that are likelier. I will now discuss the ones that are less likely. First, I doubt that Eevee will evolve into Sylveon or Glaceon, because, well, Serena has a Sylveon which Chloe and Eevee even had the chance to meet, and May has a Glaceon. Like I mentioned before with Sandy, they likely won't do more of the same. Second, I think that Leafeon is less likely, since I feel that it is the evolution that had the least impact on Pokemon journeys. Because sadly, it and its trainer Erika were not really the focus of their episode. So I don't see Eevee evolving into Leafeon, especially since Leafeon is the least popular evolution. Third, while Umbreon is likely given what I mentioned before, it is also not likely, because Gary and Gladion do have an Umbreon. Gary and Gladion are not main characters like Serena and May, but they are still important characters. and their Umbreon have had quite a bit of screen time. So having yet another relevant Umbreon would be too much, even if Umbreon is the most popular evolution. So to recap, I think that Vaporeon, Jolteon, Flareon, and Espeon are the most likely candidates, while Umbreon, Sylveon, Glaceon, and Leafeon are the least likely candidates. From the most likely candidates, I want to say that Espeon is the likeliest candidate, since its color and the typing match Chloe the best. It is also the most popular evolution from the most likely category. Plus, it is again one of the evolutions that Chloe's doppelganger has, and since Eevee evolves into Espeon when it has high friendship, it would be the perfect way to show just how much Chloe and Eevee's bond has grown. But I might be a little biased here since Espeon is my favorite evolution. I do want to mention here that another thing that is in favor of Eevee evolving is that they can shine the spotlight on the chosen evolution, which would make said evolution more prominent and relevant. This would be especially effective for those that are not owned by a main or important character. But yeah, these are my predictions for what Eevee might evolve into, though there is one other possibility I want to discuss, and that is the possibility that Eevee might evolve into a new evolution. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are right around the corner, and they might introduce one or two new evolutions. The last time we got a new evolution was back in Generation 6 with Sylveon, so it is about the time we got more, especially since there are still 10 types that we need to get evolutions for. The new evolution, or one of the two new evolutions, could make its way to the anime first, and it will debut when Chloe's Eevee evolves. The anime is no stranger to showing off new Pokemon before the release of the generation of games that said Pokemon is from. The anime is also no stranger to showcasing new evolutions by having a Pokemon belonging to an important character evolve into said new evolution, before this evolution is even available in the games. So they can certainly give Chloe a new evolution ahead of time. This takes us to yet another thing that is in favor of Eevee evolving. They can promote Scarlet and Violet by having Eevee evolve into a new evolution that will be introduced in the new games. Now, as for what type this new evolution or evolutions might be, it is honestly anyone's guess at this point. Though I could see there being two new evolutions, one for Pokemon Scarlet and one for Pokemon Violet. Given that these two games have a past and a future motif going on, the evolution for Pokemon Scarlet could have an ancient theme, and it could be rock, ground, bog, or fighting type, while the evolution for Pokemon Violet could have a futuristic theme, and it could be steel, ghost, dragon, or poison type. The evolution from Pokemon Violet would suit Chloe the best, given the main color, the theme, and the name of this version, especially if the evolution is ghost or poison type, since the color of both types and of most of the Pokemon of these types is purple, which is close to the color of Chloe's hair. I also have another idea for a new evolution. I got the inspiration for this evolution from Arceus. What if there was an evolution that was normal type, just like Eevee, basically a bigger, stronger Eevee, and this evolution had an ability like the Greninja family's Protean or the Cinderace family's Libero, meaning an ability that allows this evolution to become the type of whatever move it uses, which would allow it to match the type of every current evolution and of any future evolution. Sure, this might defeat the purpose of having an evolution of each type, but it would be very cool and it would fit Chloe's Eevee perfectly, since she has used Copycat to use a move of the same type as each of her evolutions, which has allowed her to embody each of the types she can evolve into. So becoming an Arceus evolution would suit her very well, since she could continue to mimic and copy others even after evolving, which is why I could see this happening. But since it would be so crazy and it would defeat the purpose of having multiple evolutions, I think that the chances of this happening are slight. But that's everything I have for you in this video. Though before I ended the video, I do want to mention that recently, episode 119 was revealed, and the title of this episode is Chloe and Eevee. The possibilities are endless. So it seems like we won't have to wait too much longer to find out what happens to Chloe's Eevee. Now this title does not reveal much. It does not even reveal if Chloe and Eevee will finally find their answer, since this episode could just be another step in their journey. However, the possibilities are endless, thus suggest that they will ponder about what they will do. They might reminisce about everything they have been through in order to decide their fate, and this will finally lead them to their answer. Based on this title, Eevee will either remain an Eevee, which means that her possibilities will remain endless, or she will indeed evolve into an Arceus Eeveelution, which means that even after evolving, her possibilities are endless. Or, the possibilities are endless does not refer to what Eevee will end up doing. It simply refers to Eevee's current situation and her situation throughout the episode, until she finally chooses one of the many possibilities she has. Now there really isn't much information at all on this episode, but I will keep an eye out for further information so that I can revisit this episode in a future video. I do want to say, however, that it is funny that this episode was revealed on the same day that I started to work on this video. It's almost like someone was telling me, you are running out of time to make your video predicting what will happen to Eevee. Which is something that I was afraid of, since I had the idea to make this video months ago. But since I was not able to work on it for so long, I worried that when I finally got to work on it, it would be too late. Thankfully, there is still time. But yeah, that really is everything I have for you in this video. Please let me know in the comments down below what you think will happen to Eevee and what outcome you want to see. I will be sure to follow up this video when more information about episode 119 is available. But that's the video. As always, leave your own thoughts down in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did and would like to see more like it, then please consider subscribing to my channel. I love Pokemon and I love making videos on both the anime and the games. Also, please consider clicking the links on screen so that you can check out more videos like this right away. Thank you very much for watching, and let's meet again in the next video.